In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to play my newest class, the Iron Colossus Vanguard. Now the Vanguard is going to be a D12 hit die class. It's going to give proficiency with heavy armor and shields, and this is trading off a lot of the damage output that you would typically get from a conventional D&D class for a ton of defensive power. This class started out as a sort of thesis on why I think tanking hasn't really worked in D&D 5e, tanking as an entire playstyle rather than just like, I'm the big bag of hit points and I'm the one that's meant to take the hits, right? This is meant to be a pure martialist that's able to actually do the peel-like mechanic that we tend to see on a lot of tanks in MMOs and MOBAs. Really, my thesis on why tanking hasn't felt super great for this edition has mostly been that all the stuff that you're trying to prevent is actually happening off your turn. So for this class, where you want to be able to peel the stuff that's happening off your turn, the Vanguard's going to be a specialist in the ready action. Now, before we get super into it, you can go pick this one up over on my Shopify. The link for that should be like right up here, sure. And if you want to get a sense of what this thing is before you spend the 10 bucks, I've given you a levels 1 to 6 playtest, it's sort of like a preview packet that you can also go pick up completely for free. So without any further ado, let's go over into the PDF and I'll show you guys how to play a Vanguard. Okay, so here we are in the PDF, and let's scroll down to the class features. So for creating a Vanguard, I'll zoom up on that so you guys don't have to squint. Creating a Vanguard, you're going to prioritize going with Constitution as your main ability score and followed by Strength for some offensive output in the form of making shove, strength ability checks. Now, scrolling down from here, you're going to get your D12 hit die. You're also going to get proficiency with all armor, shields, weapons. You're just going to get simple melee weapons. This isn't really the thing that you're meant to do with this class right here, but it's just sort of weird for a martialist not to at least get simple melee weapons. You don't get any tools. Your saving throws are going to be strength and constitution. Skills, you're for sure going to get athletics, and then one skill of your choice from either history, intimidation, perception, religion, and survival. Your starting equipment, you're going to get your choice of either a shield or a tower shield, an explorer's pack or a soldier's pack, one that I added into this document, and then chainmail and a shield. So for sure you're starting out with at least one shield, and then the other one you're going to have the choice to either do the dual wielding shields build or a big tower shield that I do give you stats for later on in the document. What this loadout is actually trying to inform you right here is you need to be in the front line. You are going to be most effective whenever an enemy is adjacent to you at any point, or at least nearby one of your allies. Take the ready action, stick next to them. If something gets up close to someone you're trying to protect, that's your time to move and get in their way. I wanted you to feel like whenever you pick this thing up, you are a towering colossus out there on the battlefield. That you're going to feel like, yeah, I can go up and shove around a dragon. This entire class is meant to just keep conveying that idea of you are just pure fortitude. You are an unstoppable force on the battlefield. So scrolling down into their class features, let's start up from the very, very top with Shield Bearer. So you prioritize protection above all else, specializing in defensive combat with shields. Now, this is going to give you two different mechanics depending on what type of shield, loadout you're going with at the moment. So for dual shields, you can now equip another shield and gain some benefit from it. You can benefit from wielding two shields at the same time. If you do, the AC bonus from the second shield is halved, and you can use a bonus action on your turn to try and shove a creature. So you can use the main action shove. If that doesn't work, try and go for the other one. Or if it does work, push it another 10 feet, or another, 5 feet. And then Tower Shield, while you're wielding a Tower Shield, you can use a bonus action to take a wide stance, providing half cover to creatures of your choice within 5 feet of you until the start of your next turn or until you doff the shield. Going down into this section to get into the Tower Shield itself, the Tower Shield, it is going to have the heavy, two-handed, and it's got a special property where it also grants you half cover. So with heavy and two-handed, this is going to be one that you have to wield with both hands right here. You cannot be wielding a melee weapon or anything like that whenever you've got this shield in your hands, right? But if you do, the Tower Shield is going to grant you half cover, which is a +2 to your AC on top of the AC granted by the shield itself, and a +2 bonus to dexterity saving throws. And I know that this came up in the playtest phase, so just as a reminder, this doesn't stack. There's a feature later on that's going to allow you to dual wield tower shields. The rules of this don't actually stack. You're not going to get 2 forms of half cover and there you have like full cover or anything like that. It's just a way for you to get the flexibility of what you can do with the dual wield shield mechanic as well as the tower shield mechanic. But I'll probably reference that again once we get there. So for guard, this is the other first level feature that you get. In battle, you stand guard over your allies, ready to be their aegis. If you take the ready action to move up to your speed, you can try to shove a creature during the same reaction. Additionally, if a creature provokes an opportunity attack from you, you can try to shove it instead. Now, this is something that actually, whenever we were talking about the Unearthed Arcana, I called out, and not a lot of people seem to have known that this was a thing. Technically, you can't shove as an opportunity attack, so this is allowing you to do that right here. And later on, you're going to get a feature that's going to give you basically all the love that you would get out of taking the Sentinel feat with this class, all baked into it real nice and easy. Now, the first paragraph for the ready action, the reason why I make this all in right here is because, as I was saying earlier, the reason why I think tanking hasn't felt super great in 5e is because all the stuff you're trying to prevent is happening off your turn. So, if you take the ready action to move up to your speed, that's typically all you would be able to do with the ready action. So what this is going to allow you to do is take the ready action to move up to your speed and try to shove a creature as a part of that same reaction. The best feedback I've gotten on this so far is just to allow the Vanguard to use that reaction trigger whenever they kind of feel is like the right moment to do that. The narrative for that just makes way more sense than stating something like incredibly super specific. So moving on into the second level, you're going to get Fortitude and Rampant Charge. So here with Fortitude, while wearing heavy armor, you are a walking bastion of unbreakable poise, granting you the following benefits. Any bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage you take is reduced by an amount equal to half your Vanguard level. Yes, this is also counting in magical bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. Barbarian is already getting resistance here. This is actually a little bit weaker than what Barbarian's going to get. You count as being one size larger, minimum large, when making strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. So now you can push around huge-sized creatures with this Fortitude feature. You also have advantage on strength checks you make against medium and smaller targets. Now, this is one that I am considering cutting. I have heard from playtests that they really liked how this one felt, that it was a situational advantage on the check. We are seeing 5e move away from, well, I say 5e, we are seeing D&D move away from what will be this advantage on ability checks in the middle of combat like this. This is mostly baked in there because Barbarian is getting something fairly similar, so it feels like if you weren't getting the advantage to shove smaller things, the class would just kind of lose out on that, and you'd always be thinking like, yeah, well, this would be so much better if I just went Barbarian for that, right? Now, the last bullet point on this one, if you succeed in shoving a target that is your size or smaller, you can push it up to 10 feet away from you, or push the target up to 5 feet away from you and knock it prone. So your shove is enhanced here to where if you just choose to push it, boom, you push it 10 feet away, or you can combine the two effects of the shove and potentially knock it prone and push it 5 feet away. So, enhancing the shove kind of playstyle that I was trying to invoke with the Vanguard. The other feature you're getting here is Rampant Charge, and this is supposed to feel like the Vanguard sort of complement or maybe contrast to Reckless Attack with the Barbarian. This is meant to be a bit of soft aggro for you, as well as just sort of evoke what I meant for like the Vanguard needs to be just shoving stuff around. If you're familiar with like Overwatch, Reinhardt's playstyle where he charges in, this is that line breaker mentality that's supposed to invoke. So with Rampant Charge, you can throw Caution to the Wind to break enemy lines. If you move at least 10 feet in a straight line, you can choose to charge in a straight line for the rest of the move. If you move into the space of another creature during the charge, you can try to shove it. If you successfully shove it, you push it ahead of you for the rest of your move. The charge ends early if you lose a contest to shove a creature, or if you push a creature into a structure. Any creatures pushed into a structure takes bludgeoning damage equal to 2d6 plus your strength modifier. When you charge, attack rolls against you have advantage until the start of your next turn. The reason why this is worded this way is because I wanted to allow this to work with you taking the ready action so that you can ready Rampant Charge to be used off your turn and just charge break through the enemy lines or whatever. If you need something to stay off of one of your buddies or potentially do some sort of like horde breaking kind of like mini minion clear, this is a really, really good way to do that. Now, the advantage on attack rolls against you until the start of your next turn, this is part of that soft aggro right there. And there is a subclass in here that specializes in this whole setup right here called the Juggernaut. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Speaking of your subclass, the subclasses that the Vanguards get are called your Vanguardian Mandate. So at 3rd level, you choose a mandate that embodies the tactics you employ in defending others. Your choice grants you features at 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 14th levels. Now, I have 5 different subclasses in here for the Vanguardian Mandates. The Ardent is meant to be a psionic sort of a Vanguard. You are going to be able to throw out a protected bubble akin to like Winston from Overwatch. The Dreadlord is meant to be a sort of a spike or thorn tank, where if enemies hit you, they're going to take damage as well. And then it's also got some sort of fiendish, I'm going to like pull in enemies toward me. You can curse enemies and do all that stuff. The Juggernaut, this is a living siege weapon, pretty much mostly inspired by X-Men's Juggernaut over there, or you might be able to think of like Colossus. The Templar, funny enough, I get some inspiration for designs from Pokemon, specifically like the card game. I think had a lot of like kind of inspirational playstyle ideas. The Templar is meant to be the I will take the damage in your place sort of sacrificial sort of a Vanguard. So it's got some divine energy flair in there. In terms of like what I'm thinking about from like Pokemon, I'm almost thinking of like the Chansey damage swap with like Alakazam from like way first edition. So that's what that Templar is supposed to invoke. And then the Vexeter, this is a arena lord. I am taunting you to get your attention, all eyes on me kind of a Vanguard. So they are going to specialize in their shields, but it's also about this like high charisma, like showboaty type of a Vanguard. Also at 3rd level, you're going to get Lockdown. This is that last portion of Sentinel. I would like to give you most of the budget of that feat all nice and tucked in here before you get to that ability score improvement, so you can go check out some other feats instead. But with Lockdown, what you can do with this, if you successfully shove a creature, you can choose to reduce its speed to 0 until the end of the current turn, rather than push it or knock it prone. This will work in the same way that Sentinel does with opportunity attacks. Till the end of the current turn means till the end of its turn, you know. And then if you just decided to do this during your turn for some reason, or let's say that these other creatures are getting to move off their turn for whatever reason, you're getting that versatility in here as well. I still think that this is most often going to be used with the opportunity attack, but I wanted to give you that flexibility in here. If there was, for some reason, it was able to move off of its turn, you can lock it down that way. So you're going to get the standard ability score improvement array, and then here at 4th level as well, you're going to get Bolstered Vitality. Whenever you finish a long rest, you regain all of your hit dice rather than half. Now the reason the Vanguard gets this here is because each of the different mandates has a unique use for hit dice. So with that, I love coming up with different ways to like different resources to tie in to your features rather than just like spell slots or a number of uses per day equal to proficiency bonus or something like that. And I thought with the Vanguard, like pushing yourself to these physical extremes, it just felt like hit dice was a really cool way to tie all that in. Again, I just think hit dice are a sorely neglected mechanic in this game, so giving you variant uses for what you can do with your hit dice, I love designing around that. Ever Ready, at 5th level, while you're not incapacitated or surprised, no effect can prevent you from using your reaction, and you can take up to 2 reactions per round, but only 1 per turn. This second reaction can be used to move up to your speed and potentially try to shove a creature if you took the ready action during your last turn, in addition to the reactions you can normally take. So while the other classes can do things like extra attack, this is giving you essentially extra guard, I would want to say. Now, if you want to dip into this for 5 levels because you wanted to do like 2 silvery barbs or like 2 counter spells, I guess you could, but I haven't really heard anyone from playtests say that like they felt like that was an optimal way to go with a character. If you take the ready action and then something uses like Shocking Grasp on you and then suddenly you lose out on that, that's just gonna feel way terrible. Like it just punishes what this entire class is trying to do. That's why I give you that little effect right up in there, and then give you what is essentially this class's version of extra attack. Your mandate is going to give you a 6th level feature, so at 7th level you're going to get Stalwart Vigilance. You have a heightened awareness for threats that grants you an advantage on initiative rolls and a +5 bonus to your passive perception while you're not blinded, deafened, or incapacitated. While this is built around alert, it's not meant to make alert redundant, so if you did go over into alert and got all the perks over there, it's going to work out really well with Stalwart Vigilance right here. At 8th level, you're going to get that standard ASI, and then here at 9th level, you're going to get Fearless. You have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end being frightened, and you can't be frightened by any creature whose strength score is lower than yours. So I, again, just wanted to evoke that idea of I'm big, I'm mean, you can't scare me, little dude. Yeah, the Vanguard, everything about this, everything about every feature right here, I just kept trying to inform, like, you want to be the biggest thing on the battlefield, even when you're not the biggest thing on the battlefield. I wanted to make you feel like pretty cocky while you're playing this, you know. So, Tireless. The reason why I picked this in right here, I originally had this as an optional feature because it's an optional feature for a lot of the other classes from Tasha's, but feedback, again, the thing I'm hearing from other designers is like, look, those are optional with quotation marks, so I'm just slapping Tireless in here because it makes way too much sense. Way too much sense for a frontliner. So, 9th level, as an action, you can give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your Constitution modifier, minimum of 1 temporary hit point. You can use this action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. In addition, whenever you finish a short rest, your exhaustion level, if any, is decreased by 1. Tireless right in there. If you do get any exhaustion points, like this is what Barbarian should have gotten. It makes way too much sense on a Barbarian. It's an optional feature for Ranger, and it just, oh god, it felt like it should have been Barbarian. Yeah. So, 10th level, you're going to get another Vanguardian Mandate feature. Here at 11th level, you're going to get Muster for Battle. You can take the ready action whenever you roll initiative. No action required. What I was being told in the playtest was that some players felt like they were missing out on what was like kind of a half a turn in combat compared to every other character. And this is a perfect level for a power spec to come in for any martialist, really. What this is doing right here is making sure that you can still guard in that if you just so happen to roll really low in initiative. Like, the advantage on the initiative checks that you're going to get up here is really nice, but it just doesn't cover enough territory to where the Vanguard is going to feel really relevant if they do happen to go super low in initiative. This is kind of it is a power spike level, just as all the other martialists are getting a power spike, but in a lot of ways this was more of just a kind of quality of life lift up for the Vanguard players. So at 12th level, you're going to get another ability score improvement. Here at 13th level, you're going to get Power Through. When you're subjected to an effect that you can see that requires you to make a dexterity saving throw, you can use your Constitution modifier in place of your dexterity modifier if you aren't incapacitated. Further, when you succeed on a saving throw against an effect that deals damage, you reduce the damage you take from the effect by half. If you have resistance to something, this isn't you have resistance to the damage right here. This is still going to stack on top of resistance. So you reduce that damage you take by half. So essentially, if you do take that damage, you're going to reduce it down to like a quarter, right? Power Through. This is not meant to be an extremely elusive class. You know, this is sort of the Vanguard's idea of what it means to like have evasion in a way. Evasion just didn't really narrate really well for me for what like a Vanguard should get. But the mechanic itself felt like that would be really good for a frontliner, right? So Vanguard's weakness is most likely going to be dexterity saving throws pretty much all the way up until this feature right here. And what I like to do is, rather than give you evasion, which that tells a really kind of particular narrative about a class, right? That's like the high dexterity, I'm so quick I can just get out of the way kind of a thing. I wanted you to just like tough this out and then reward you for toughing it out if you succeeded on it, right? So you can swap out the dex mod for the con mod on these dexterity saving throws, as long as you're not incapacitated. And then right here with the, you can succeed, if you succeed on the saving throw, I wanted this to also synergize with like resistance. So I didn't want to give you resistance to the damage that it deals. That also tells a particular story that doesn't really like kind of work out for me. But if you do tough it out and you do succeed, you reduce the damage you take from the effect by half. That will stack with resistance. So Moving on from there, 14th level, you're going to get your capstone feature from your subclass, and at 15th level, you're going to get Behemoth Might. You count as being 2 sizes larger, minimum huge, when making strength-based ability checks and strength saving throws. You also have advantage on strength checks you make against large or smaller targets. Additionally, you ignore the 2-handed property of Towershields. So now, if you want to, you can dual-wield Towershields. This is talking about what I said earlier with Shield Bearer. You can get the benefits of dual shields and Towershields, bam, right here at the same time. I just wanted to build off of what was kind of informing your equipment loadout way earlier on, in a way to where it's like, okay, your AC is going to shoot up by 2 right here. You're also going to get the benefit of bonus action, boom, I shove the thing, yeah. And whenever it adds the AC bonus from the shield, I just want to make this note right here because it did come up. This doesn't include the additional +2 from having half cover. That is not the armor bonus, the AC bonus. That's actually the benefits of half cover. And the benefits of those two don't stack to give you full cover or anything like that. So, moving on from there, 16th level, ASI level, 17th level, Force of Will. If you try to shove a creature and lose the contest, you can choose to shove it as if you had won. And once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Now, this is just making it to where, you're coming with me at least 1 point in the fight, right? If you're going to be basing your entire loadout around the shove, like the shove action, the shove attack, I guess you can say, you need something that's going to help you shove around Tarrasques by this point. Right here, Force of Will, if this tells that narrative at least even once out there in any campaign, I'll feel like I have succeeded in this design. Like, Force of Will, you, by this point, should feel, while everybody else is getting their 9th level spells, you need to feel just completely indomitable by this point. So I hope that this gets that across. At next level, you're going to get Towering Colossus. Before I get super into this one, let me say one thing real quick. I actually did play a Barbarian, a 20th level Barbarian. It was right here on YouTube, actually, over on Nerd Immersion's channel. So what I felt like with Barbarian is that their capstone comes on way too late. I felt like Barbarian needed to have that your ASIs can increase by 4 or whatever at 18th level. You get the ASI at 19th level to invest into that further, whatever. It just feels like by 20th level, you're really missing out unless you plan for that like way super early. But that's my opinion on that, so you can see why I wrote this feature this way. At 18th level with Towering Colossus, your Constitution score increases by 4. Your maximum for that score is now 24. Additionally, while your feet are firmly planted on the ground, you can't be moved or teleported against your will by any means short of a wish spell. This doesn't mean you defy gravity, but you are effectively an immovable rod right here. Now, something can't pick you up off the ground and carry you around. And this is, while your feet are firmly planted on the ground, you are, like it says, a Towering Colossus. I wanted you to feel like you just had that firm foundation on whatever. If something comes at you and is trying to charge you, it will stop. You are now an immovable object. Now, 19th level, again another ASI, and then Indestructible, their 20th level feature. While wearing heavy armor, you're immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by other creatures, their attack spells, and other effects that does not kill you outright. Now, this is damage dealt by other creatures. This isn't talking about the environment. So if there's some catastrophic event or whatever, yeah, environmental damage can still do its thing. Now, if you and your DM decide, like, you know what, the way that we want this to work is like, what if something pushes a building over on me and that was another creature doing that thing? Whatever. I want you guys to figure out what sounds fun and cool for you, so I left that some like open-endedness. But this is not meant to allow you to tank out catastrophic events. This is just like if a Tarrasque comes up and it is just mauling you like crazy, you might not even feel it. You can just completely shrug all that off. That's their capstone right there. Now, let me talk real brief about the different mandates right here. And by the way, you can go and check this out, again, over on my Shopify. But if you see something that you really want to check out, feel free to pause it here. But with the Ardent, this is the Psionic Vanguard. Like I said earlier, sort of that Winston from Overwatch sort of a play feel. Dreadlord, you're getting the... God, I love the artwork by Maxwell on this one. This is the spike tank sort of a feel. Wrathchild is allowing you to curse a creature if it does damage to you, and then potentially cause some other creature to betray it in a way. Eventually, its capstone allows you to just straight up pull things in on you, or if it's a thing that dealt damage to you and you can't see it, you can just teleport it instantly to you. The Juggernaut, this is that living siege weapon. I heard from a lot of my playtesters that they were using this one to just shove something through walls. I adore this subclass. The Templar, this is again that damage sponge. I can reduce the damage and then become like a holy nuke. The Vexeter, again, this one started out as the Arena Lord, but this is that big personality. I'm so braggadocious, you cannot ignore me, right? Moving on from there, there's some other character options in this supplement, as well as the equipment, and you can see a lot of the concept artwork from Maxwell over here in the PDF. So yeah, that is the Vanguard. This is my newest class. Hopefully this does the martial tank that you've been wanting in D&D some justice. And yeah, so you can go pick it up over there on my Shopify. Links to that are going to be in the description, as well as probably all over this video. So yeah, come join up in the Discord if you want to follow along with future playtests of my different classes. Go check out my Patreon if you want some of my Patreon exclusive content and you want to help support the channel. And also, if you are one of my sponsors, you get your name put into the work that I do. And yeah, so anyways, guys, yeah, thanks for checking this one out. Let me know what you think of the Vanguard down in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, all that good stuff. So yeah, hope you all are staying safe, staying healthy, and I will see you in the next one.